Hi everyone, it's Azal and today I'm going to start making my pied kingfisher statue. These are the photos that me and my dad took in a nature reserve and I'm going to use them for a reference. Let's roll up our sleeves and start making the statue. I'm firstly going to start with my fish. It's going to be a small and easy statue to make on its own. I have a lot of photos of different types of fish that has two things in common. They are a very long fish and they are shaped the same way. I'm going to start making the head of the fish and smooth it into the body. It has a nice head. It has a beautiful shape over there. And the rest of his body I'm just going to pull away from the head side to make it a nice long shape. Don't worry if your fish looks a little bit too thin. You can always fix it by adding a bit of clay to the sides of the fish to make sure your fish isn't too thin. And just shape the body in the beginning like this. It's very important to make sure that your fish is shaped right and that its skin is nice and smooth. With all animals or anything else you have where the skin is nice and smooth, you must make sure that your clay is just as smooth as that. When I'm done with this lump of clay that's starting to take a shape like a fish, I just take these two toothpicks. They will act like my bird's beak. And I will just put this clay in the toothpicks and just curve this fish to shape perfectly within the bird's beak. It's very important that I know how my fish would look like inside the bird's beak and to make sure it has that nice curve when the fish is trying to eat him. When I'm happy with the curve, I'll take my toothpicks away and start forming the clay to shape like a fish a little bit more. This kingfisher will eat this fish, or it would look like he would eat it when I'm finished with the statue. I don't have to put too much detail on this fish because the statue is not about the fish, it's about the kingfisher, and I'll have to make a lot more detail on the kingfisher than on the fish. I will put the fins on this fish a little bit later when I'm finished with his shape and form. And I will also put on the scales later when I'm happy with this fish. Alright. Right now I'm going to make him sort of like a cheek. It's a part of the fish's body that hides the gills a little bit. And it also helps me make the gills a lot easier. So you take a little bit of piece of clay, make sure it's a little, you roll it in a ball and you flatten it to make it a nice round flat shape like this. Now you take your fish and you just make it a bit better, just to make it a bit better like this, and then you place it right there where you think it would be and where the picture shows it would be, and then you rub it into the clay, making sure it blends with the fish's shape. Right there. You rub it in. And now I'm going to use this tool right here to shape the gill. Now, sometimes you will make a mistake, but don't worry, clay, you can always fix that type of mistake like this. This gill is too thick and it shows too violently, so I have to just make it a little bit softer by using this side of the tool, like this, right there. Now I'm going to do the same with the other side of the fish. I'm going to roll a little bit of clay into a little bowl, flatten it, and place it precisely where the other one will be. It has to be even, nice and even, or else this fish's head would look a little bit one-sided. Just rub it into the fish like that. There we go. Just like that. Now I'm gonna make a nice round curve, the same thing I'm doing with the other one. Just to shape it nicely right there. There's the gills. I will make this fish a little bit better and make the gills a little bit more with detail, but right now I'm happy with the way it looks, just to know how this fish would look like, how its shape would look like. Now I'm going to make the eye a little bit. Now around the eye there's a layer of skin that is a little bit thicker than the rest of the body. So I'm just going to do the same that I did with the cheek with that skin. Make it from a little round shape of the clay and just place it in there, rub it in. Just rub it in this nicely. And then make the eye of the fish. I'll make this better later. It's just to show how my fish would look like, so that it's easier for me to imagine how this fish would look like in the bird's beak. Now I'm gonna do the same with the other side because they have to be even and exactly the same. You can see from the head's part how it's going to look like, more or less. And now I'm just gonna rub it in the same way I did with that one. Just rub it in nicely, like that. Make a little eye over there, just to shape the little eye there. That's beautiful, like that. Now I'm gonna place it back into the toothpicks, and I can see my tail is not precisely right, so I'm going to take this tool. Just gonna scrape off a bit of clay, just scraping it a bit off. The tail must look a little bit thinner than the rest of the body, so I need to do that like this. And make sure your clay is nice and smooth, because this fish's skin is nice and smooth and you want it to look more natural. And there we go. This is how the fish will look like inside the bird's beak. Fish is finally done. I have finished with its shape. I like his shape. It's a nice round and smooth shape. I will later put in the fins and the detail when I'm done making my bird. Next up I will start making my bird's form.